Okay, let's get on with the showcase. So to start off with, we want to look at the ore. The ore is called Skylight Ore. This is not for any specific school of magic. This is before you pick a school, you have to find this ore. And the ore will drop Skylight Shards. And the Skylight Shards are used in crafting both the Artificer core and the Arcane core. The Artificer core is used for crafting the Artificer ring, the unbound one, and the Arcane core is used for crafting the Arcane ring, which has not got a school chosen in it. So, for demonstration, I'm going to grab an Arcane ring out of Creative, but you can craft one using the Arcane core and 4 gold. And when you use it, it will bring up the choice screen. I'm just going to jump over to Thaumaturge because that's the only one being shown here, and equip it in the ring slot. The spells will not work if you don't have this equipped. I'll show that off after I make them, because you can't make spells unless you have it equipped either. And over here we have the new spell creation system. I'm going to go into creative mode really quick. So in here you've got all of the different spell components to make all of the different spells. In the last video, the spells were not actually craftable. They were only accessible by command, but now I've got a crafting system in place. And the spells I want to demonstrate use the feather, the iron pickaxe, and the glowstone dust, as well as the self, beam, that's rune, I'll keep rune there, and beam. And these are the spell components I'll be using for this. So in order to make the spells, you need a spell inscriber, which is black stone and an enchanting table, which means that you need to be at least nether level in order to make this. So in order to actually craft the spells, you take your components, say rune and glowstone dust, and you put them onto the spell inscriber, and then you right click with the book, and the book will take on the properties of the items you used. You can see disarm and rune. So the rune stone gives it the rune line, and the disarm line comes from the glowstone dust. And that is the first spell that we're going to make done. Then we throw on the beam and the iron pickaxe and make that, and now we have a dig beam spell. Again, we got beam from this, dig from the pickaxe. And lastly, we're going to combine self with the feather, right click that, and you've got fling self. So now you've got your 3 spellbooks. These don't stack or anything. You do have to keep them separate. And so you might be asking yourself, how do I tell these different spellbooks apart? If I'm in PvP and I need to swap between different spells, how am I going to know the difference? Well, that is where this handy feature comes in. So just like how you can dye armor, leather armor, you can dye the spellbooks. Now red is not a very good example, but you can see a very slight shift in the red color. I can grab this, put fling self in there, and that turns the spellbook blue. And put the grey in there, and that turns the dig spell grey. So now when you're out, you'll be able to tell these different books apart by the stripe on their cover. And just to show off that they still work, the first spell is a disarm rune. So let's place down the rune. It places down the diamond just like it did last time, and in the chat it shows off this bar. Once this bar reaches full, the diamond will disappear and the spell will stop being active. And you can still stop the spell from activating by crouching on it, but if you ever release the crouch, it drops the item. The fling spell will still launch you into the air, and the dig beam spell will still dig in the ground. The spells have also had a particle update. So as you can see here, as I'm digging, it is creating sort of dirt particles in front of me and the smoke particles where it hits. The dig spell has been slowed down since the last version because it was very fast and quite overpowered. So I'm going to grab all of these spell components and make spells with them. Let's make beam spells. So you throw down the Eye of Ender and the beam runestone. Let's grab a spellbook. I'll need a few of those. Let's get rid of these components real quick. There we go. Combine those, and now we have a rift-bound beam. Next up is, we've already got the beam dig. Let's try clock beam. All of these spell components are completely configurable with each other. So you can have a rift-bound beam, you can have a chrono anchor beam, you can have, let's throw the beam water bucket will make a watery grave beam. Yep. And then you've got a, that's the wrong thing. You've got a disarm beam. Let's try the ender pearl. That should be a transplace beam. I picked up the ender pearl. And I picked up the beam. Okie doke, transplace beam. And the last one, I believe, is the fling beam. I don't know if there were any others. Did I miss one? I've already got the dig beam. Yeah, I've already got the dig beam. So this should be all of them. So first off is the rift-bound beam, which when you fire it will release a beam of swirling black particles ending with a slightly void-like particle. The next one, which is Chrono Anchor, shoots out an enchanting table beam ending with a clock particle. And the Watery Grave spell releases a beam of bubbles that explode at the location. Next up is the Disarm beam, which creates a very light ashy trail ending with a smoke particle. Next is Transplace, which is ender particles ending off in an ender pill when it hits a target. Then it's the Fling beam, which has smoke particles at the end with the same particles that you see on a critical hit as the beam. And finally Dig uses dirt particles ending in smoke. And that is all of the particles that are updated. We've got all of the spellbook textures are updated. The rings are updated. We've got the spell inscriber. We've got the rune stones, which are also upgraded. And these all have recipes as well for the different things. You can craft everything. And Thaumaturge is completely playable in this state, but I won't be releasing it yet because I still need to work on it. I need to add in more spell components, we need to work on progression. We need to work on progression. As well as just generally making sure that it's bug free. And also I need to work on the other schools as well, because I've also been working on the Artificer quite a bit. The items are not fully updated here yet, there's just a few of them. I guess that's a little sneak peek for the next video. And that is pretty much it for updates on Thaumaturge. It's a functioning portion of the mod now. So just to give some ideas on how I'm going to go about the progression is, I'm going to make sure that each of the schools is in a playable state within the base game. And then from there, I will be expanding on the base game itself, adding in new content, I'll be adding in bosses, things of that sort. And as I expand that, I will be expanding the schools into that content. So maybe instead of just using smooth stone to craft these rune stones, it will take progressively harder materials as you unlock the different components. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this quick little revisit towards Thaumaturge, because I have been working on stuff in the background. I've been working on updates to the mod it requires. I've been updating this as well. I've been building up some of the powers in the other classes, as well as starting my university work, and I've been really busy with that. But I hope that you enjoyed.